If I had only known the last time would be the last time, would have put off all the things I had to do. I would have stayed a little longer, held on a little tighter. Now what I'd give for one more day with you. Cause there's a wound here in my heart where something's missing. And they tell me that it's gonna heal with time. But I know you're in a place where all your wounds have been erased. And knowing yours are healed is healing mine. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. I know the road you walked was anything but easy. You picked up your share of scars along the way. Oh, but now you're standing in the sun. You fought your fight and your races run. The pain is all a million miles away. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven, yeah, are on the hands that hold you now. That hold you now. There's not a day goes by that I don't see you live on in all the better parts of me. Until I'm standing with you in the sun, I'll fight this fight and this race I'll run, until I finally see what you can see. Oh, the only scars in heaven, they won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, and even as the tears fall down, that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now.
It's perfect outside, it's like God let me dial up the weather. Got the whole crew here, I ain't seen some of them in forever. forget it, better stop and take it in. Kinda seems everything's just right, yeah, except for one thing. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, and cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss. You should be here. You'd be taking way too many pictures on your phone, showing them off to everybody that you know back home, and even some you don't. Yeah, they say now you're in a better place, and I would be too if I could see your face. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, and cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments, it's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here, you'd be loving this, you'd be freaking out, you'd be smiling. Yeah, I know you'd be all about what's going on right here, right now. God, I wish somehow you could be here. Oh, you should be here. Yeah, this is one of those moments, it's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here. You should be here.
Still got your number in my phone, and even though you don't know or listen, I still call and wait till the tone, just to hear you say leave a message. Since you've been gone, I've had to find different ways to grieve. There's days that I don't even want it on my mind, but tonight I'm weak, so I'm gonna pull out pictures, ones with you in them, laugh and cry a little while reminiscing by myself. I can't help that all I think about is how you were taken way too soon. It ain't the same here without you. I gotta say, missing you comes in waves, and tonight I'm drowning. I know you're in a better place, and one day I'll see you again, but it's killing me we can't be face to face. I miss my best friend, so tonight I'm gonna pull out pictures, ones with you in them, laugh and cry a little while reminiscing by myself. I can't help that all I think about is how you were taken way too soon. It ain't the same here without you. I gotta say, missing you comes in waves, and tonight I'm drowning. Yeah, tonight I'm drowning. I know it's a part of life, but I wasn't ready to say goodbye. So tonight I'm gonna pull out pictures, ones with you in them, laugh and cry a little while reminiscing myself. I can't help it, all I think about is how you were taken way too soon. It ain't the same here without you. I gotta say, missing you comes in waves, and tonight I'm drowning. Yeah, tonight I'm drowning.
It starts with one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a as far as I can go. For all this, one thing you should know. I put my trust in you. Pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
It's been a long way without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about see you again, when I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began.
We started.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Tell you.
When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling stronger. What's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken. The love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. Will always love you. My darling, bittersweet memories. That is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you you need, and I will always love you. I will always love I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you love. And I will always love you. 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 Darling, I love you. Always, I'll always love
If I had only known the last time would be the last time, would have put off all the things I had to do. Would have stayed a little longer, held on a little tighter. Now what I'd give for one more day with you. 'Cause there's a wound here in my heart that something's missing. And they tell me that it's gonna heal with time. But I know you're in a place where all your wounds have been erased. And knowing yours are healed is healing mine. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. Though the road you walked was anything but easy, you picked up your share of scars along the way. Oh, but now you're standing in the sun. You fought your fight and your race is run. The pain is all a million miles away. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven, yeah, are on the hands that hold you now. Not a day goes by that I don't see you. You live on in all the better parts of me. Until I'm standing with you in the sun, I'll fight this fight and this race I'll run, until I finally see what you can see. Oh, the only scars in heaven, they won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, and even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now.
I took the supermarket flyers from the windowsill, threw the day old tea from the cup, packed up the photo album Matthew had made, Memories of a life that's been loved. Took the get well soon cars and stuffed animals. Poured the old ginger beer down the sink. Dad always told me, don't you cry when you're down. But Mum, there's a tear every time that I blink. Oh, I'm in pieces, it's tearing me up. But I know a heart that's broke is a heart that's been loved. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mom. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. When God takes you back, say hallelujah, you're home. Fluffed the pillows, made the bed, stacked the chairs up. Folded your nightgowns neatly in a case. John said he'd drive, then put his hand on my cheek and wiped a tear from the side of my face. And I hope that I see the world as you did, 'cause I know a life with love is a life that's been lived. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mom. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. When God takes you back, say hallelujah, you're home. Hallelujah, you were an angel in the shape of my mom. You got to see the person I have become. Spread your wings and I know that when God took you back, he said hallelujah, you're home.
Welcome, everyone. Just a friendly reminder to silence your cell phones.
can sing along if you like. We gather today to remember the life of Ari Ronell Goldschmidt, to take comfort in community and family. Today is a sad day, but it can also be a day of healing as we come together and give thanks for a life that was full of love and service, kindness, and spirit, though it was too short. Micah, Ayla, Crystal, Daniel, Matthew, Sammy, and Isaac, Bob and Michelle, Ian and Lee, and Chantel. Ari's life meant so much to each of you in different ways. This loss will touch you each differently. But for all of you, and for all of us here gathered to support you, our hearts break open at this time. May we find healing and love in that opening. The Psalms teach us, Karov Adonai le'nishbare lev, God is close to the brokenhearted. And my prayer is that we may feel God's support and also be God's support in this time. I'd like to share a poem from Jan Richardson called Blessing for the Brokenhearted. He begins with a quote from Henry David Thoreau, "There is no remedy for love but to love more." Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal the wound when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating as if it were made precisely for this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us nonetheless. And now I'd like to call up representatives from the United States military to lead us in Army honors as we recognize Ari's service to his country.
And on behalf of the President of the United States Army, and grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved ones' faithful and dedicated service.
And now we turn to the words of the Psalms, Psalm 23, which is beloved by many peoples of many traditions. I will read it first in English and then chant it in Hebrew. And if you'd like, if you know the words in your heart, you're welcome to say them aloud with me. The Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in the straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo achsar, binat asher yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yanach aleini. Nafshi eshovev, nafshi eshovev, yancheini b'magle tzedek, Leman Shemo, Leman Shemo, Leman Shemo, Gam ki elech v'getz hamavet, Lo yira, ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, shivtecha umishantecha, Emayanachamoni, Taroch lefanai shulchan, Taroch lefanai shulchan, Taroch lefanai shulchan, neged zorai, Dishanta v'shemen roshi, Dishanta v'shemen roshi, Dishanta v'shemen roshi, Kosi revaya, Ach tov v'chesed, yir'defuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti bevet Adonai, Veshavti bevet Adonai Leorach Yamim. You can sing along. Ya la la ya 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 la la ya 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 la 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 ya ya la 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 ya la la ya 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 la la ya 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 ay 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 ay. Now we've come to the heart of things, a chance to hear from Ari's closest loved ones, words in his honor. First, I'd like to call Ari's mother, Michelle.
Ari Ronell Goldschmidt was first and foremost a family man. He loved his wife, his parents and siblings, and his many aunts, uncles, and cousins. Most of all, he loved all of his children deeply. They were his pride, his joy, his beloved. It was for them that he worked and sacrificed, trying to ensure they grew up healthy, happy, safe, and strong. That was Ari always. Please be patient with me while I share a few stories about him. When Ari was 4 years old, his dad took the restless little boy to the park and out of Yom Kippur services. Like the big kids, he climbed on the monkey bars and dropped down to hang from the top, banging his head every time. He would cry, run to daddy, and then get back up on the bars. Bang, several more times until he finally figured out how not to bang his head. Once he had it, he stopped. Mission accomplished, a challenge solved, and no need to do that again. When Ari was 9, we sent him to Italy to spend time with my sister, her Italian husband, and 2 sons. Yes, he went from Maryland to New York to Rome by himself. He went again when he turned 16. He enjoyed planting olives and grapes and visiting some of Italy's oldest synagogues. These trips gave him a taste for travel and seeing what the world had to offer. When he was 10, he told us a story we hadn't known before. We now had Lee Daniel, our 3rd baby. Robert and I were discussing how our hectic lives with 3 children, and I said that it had even been worse a few years back. Remember when Ari started kindergarten? He was a tiny 5-year-old that I had asked a neighbor to watch for 10 minutes each day with her kindergartner until the school bus came so that I wouldn't be late for work. Ari listened to our conversation and piped in, "I remember that. They made me sit on the floor at their house." I asked him what he meant. He said, well, they would say, "You sit on the floor to wait for the bus." My heart sank so low, I thought I would have to pick it up from the floor. I asked Ari why he never told us that they made him sit on the floor at their house. He simply said that it hadn't bothered him. He said, "I just knew that I would never treat people that way." When he turned 13, he wanted to become a bar mitzvah and had been studying in Sunday school since pre-K. We even had a tutor ready, but the synagogue told us no, ostensibly because the regularly scheduled training was unavoidably busy for us. I told him, "Don't worry, we'll do it in Oregon," where I was going to be a 2-year postdoctoral fellow. During our first summer in Oregon, our new synagogue, Havara Shalom, held an outdoor celebration in honor of getting a second Torah. I asked Ari if he would like to do something with the kids. He brought his origami book and taught kids how to make their own origami for hours. Many people asked me who was the special kid teaching kids, even though he himself was new. That same summer, I picked him up from camp and I heard the kids chanting, "Ari, Ari." I asked him, what was that about? And he said to me, they like me. That was new to him. Despite being new at Havurah, we found a family willing to share their son's bar mitzvah because that part of the Torah was so large they needed help. Only 9 months later, Ari had deepened his basic Hebrew skills, learned how to chant from the Torah, and me too, learned how to pray the entire Shabbat morning service, attended an adult writing course on how to talk about the Torah portion. He demanded I take him, wrote his part and delivered it from his heart. His goal was to do this before he turned 14, and he accomplished it with 1 month to spare. That fall, he played Ishmael in Havurah's annual teen discussion held on the afternoon of Rosh Hashanah. Kids who had become B'nai Mitzvah would study with a beloved tutor most of the summer and then write what they learned as a play. With his performance, Ari cemented Havurah's love for him. It was one of the reasons that we moved out there after my fellowship ended. When he turned 18, he joined the U.S. Army Reserves. Because of his respectful and competent leadership, he moved up the ranks to become a captain. He served 1 tour in Iraq, returned to Oregon, finished college, became a nurse, and gained high-level nursing skills in several areas. Recently, he finished his master's degree as a psychiatric behavioral health nurse practitioner and worked long hours in a behavioral health residential facility. That facility will miss him. One last story. 11 years ago, when the Mohel came to our house for Micah's circumcision, he found almost 50 people from Havurah there. Why so many, he asked in astonishment. And they said, almost in unison, it's Ari. That says it all. When we had arrived at Havurah, Ari had one real friend. In Oregon and in Havurah, he had many, many. It was with a very heavy heart that we had to tell our friends there that Ari is gone, but he will never be forgotten. Ari was beloved by his subordinates and superiors in both the military and hospital settings. He always was willing to teach and befriend those around him. He was creative. He made costume jewelry since he was 9 years old, while also learning about the great royal jewels in museums. He was fun-loving, always sharing with friends and family. He enjoyed gourmet cooking, fancy cake baking, and mixology with equal aplomb. He loved to entertain. He was athletic, a brown belt in karate since childhood, a wrestler on a statewide championship high school team, and even did some boxing in Iraq during downtimes. He was the 5'4" lightweight who boxed a 5'9" guy and won. He loved Judaism and living Jewishly. Before leaving for boot camp, he worked with that wonderful tutor one last time to help the teens write their annual Rosh Hashanah play, a closure for him after he himself had participated every year throughout high school. And he led a Yom Kippur service by himself in Kuwait before entering Iraq. He was in theater, but he couldn't miss that. He was honored with the designation of lay chaplain for his contributions. He was 18 years old. Even though their marriage ended, Ari and Chantel, his first wife and mother of his children, sealed their legacy with Micah and Ayla. He loved Crystal, his wife and life partner. They shared good and bad, happy and sad, and many precious and silly moments together. Ari loved his 5 stepchildren. He didn't call them stepchildren. He just called them, I've got more children. He wanted them to know their heritage, grow to be successful, and most of all, to have fun. We celebrated many holidays and outings together. And even though attending synagogue in Colorado wasn't easy on a very busy schedule, Micah got enough exposure to want more. He wants to study Judaism and become a bar mitzvah. He may even share that experience with his uncle Ian, and we hope with Ayla. Ari Ronell, whose name means joyful lion, lived so much for such a short life. And though his last year was a mix of joy and deep sadness, I choose to remember only the joy. Zichrono livracha. May his memory be for a blessing.
I'd now like to call up Crystal. So Crystal has asked me to share the words of their ketubah, of the sacred wedding covenant that accompanied them. And I understand you really took time to write these words from the heart. So the text, the text begins with Matzati et she'ahava Matzati et she'ahava nafshi. I have found the one in whom my soul delights. Surrounded by family and friends, we affirm our eternal commitment to each other as husband and wife. Our lives from now until forever are intertwined. Our similarities will bind us, our differences will enrich us, and our love will define us. Our hearts fuse together, creating a unique bond with friendship and compassion at its core. We shall nurture one another emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually, always mindful of our respective qualities, strengths, and needs. We together will celebrate all of life's passages with joy and reverence. In times of happiness, we will cherish each other, and in times of trouble, we will protect each other. Together, we will create a home where all of our family's values, traditions, and faiths will be celebrated with honor and integrity. We willingly enter this covenant of companionship and love. May we be better together than we are apart. From this day forward, we are as one.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I'd now like to call up Ari's good friend, Ben, his close friend for many, many years.
Hi, everybody. Ari was my oldest friend. We met at synagogue 25 or so years ago, and I remember being a kid and a teen together, us growing up through our first loves, our first heartbreaks, school. I remember a lot of the good times that we shared together, from playing Dungeons and Dragons to whitewater rafting. It was a life, stretching on and on into our adulthoods. It was filled with lots of life, all of its joys and struggles. And when I look back at my friendship with Ari, I can't really summarize such a good, warm, and caring man who devoted his life to helping others really well. Maya Angelou once said that I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I remember how it felt to be Ari's friend, to be loved by him. My life and those who knew him may be emptier now, but I will cherish the feelings and joy that he shared while he was here. We'll miss you, Ari. Rest in peace.
I'd like now to call another friend, Vandal Vandy.
I'm normally a really good speaker, but somebody talked me into doing this despite what I really would like to do. You just read this for me, please.
There is no magic answer. There is no magic answer to loss. Nothing, not even time, will make the pain completely disappear. But loss is transformative if it is met with faith. Faith is our chance to make sense of loss, to cope with and to stone that rolls around in the hollow of our stomachs when something we loved, something we thought was forever, is suddenly gone. Rabbi David Wolf.
Okay. I moved here in 2017 as a ER nurse from New Orleans, and that's how I met Ari and Crystal. Ari, as many of you probably know, is very competitive, and I am too. So I was the female version of Ari at work. Ari prefaced Crystal saying that we have a new employee coming on, you probably won't like her. Then I ended up being both of their big sisters. Met Ari's family at the wedding in Vegas, and it's like I knew them. Ari would call me when he had his down times. Crystal too. Being dedicated to each one of them as a friend. Only can share so much with each other. He was just overwhelmed. He always wanted to be in control and fix everything. We all have missions. We don't know what our mission is. We go back home when our mission is complete. His mission was complete. I'll see you again.
So we're gonna take a pause in our remembering for a song. And I'll call a pal to introduce that. As he's coming up, I just want to say one word, which is that there's so much love in the room. And it's a beautiful thing to see how much Ari was loved. And I just want to reflect back that part of what is so important in this moment is to know how much he loved you as well. And know that, especially Micah and Ayla, he loved you. And all of his kids, Chrissy, Daniel, Matthew, Sammy, and Isaac. His love for all of his children was so huge. And It's clear from the words everyone is sharing.
Some words based on a teaching by 17th century Hasidic Rebbe, Nachman of Breslov. The entire world is a very narrow bridge. The main thing is that we face our fears and walk on through. Kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar ma'od, gesher tsar ma'od. Tsar ma'od, kol alam kulo, gesher tsar ma'od, gesher tsar ma'od. V'ha'ikar, lo lefachet, lo lefachet kol v'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo lefachet kol. This entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, yeah, very narrow bridge. I said this entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. The main thing that we can do is to face our fears and walk on through. The main thing that we can do is to face our fears and walk on through. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la.
So next we're going to welcome a voice from outside of this room, Emily Simon, who was Ari's tutor in Portland, will be joining us on screen. So I think we're set up to do that. There she is. Emily.
Can I be heard yet? Good afternoon. As the rabbi just said, my name's Emily Simon, and I'm the tutor from Havara Shalom that Michelle was mentioning. I had the pleasure and honor of watching, enjoying, laughing, davening, praying, talking, supervising. Ari didn't need a lot of that. Directing, acting, and learning with him from his bar mitzvah until he left for Kuwait. When Ari arrived at Havara Shalom, he did not burst onto the scene or withdraw into himself, as so many other kids would. When he entered the space, we were blessed by this indelible presence, this mixture of seriousness of purpose, strength, and calmness, leavened with mirth and kindness that was Ari Goldschmidt. Imagine a room full of 20 teenagers from 13 to 18 coming together to study Torah, scripture, write a play about it, and perform it in front of 300 people, all in the space of 8 weeks. There was no doubt in Ari's mind that this was something he wanted to do, where he belonged, and he was going to help make it happen. With his unique style of leadership skills, he would gently but very effectively keep his peers on track, always contribute, but not dominate, so that others could be heard. And most importantly to him, that our sessions didn't end until something new was accomplished and we were closer to our goal. From the age of 14 years on, he would enter every class, session, or service we were doing together with the following question: what can I do to help? Do you need chairs moved? And when our time was up, even if his mother was waiting for him in the car outside, or his younger brother Lee was tugging at his sleeve, or everyone else had left, Ari couldn't go with asking me how I thought it went, and did I need the chairs put back? And then there were the parts he played. As Michelle referenced, Ari was Ishmael. Comments heard from members of the congregation. Wow, who played Ishmael? Remember, Ari was new at the time. I never liked Ishmael before, and up until today, I honestly didn't care what happened to Ishmael. But that kid who played him, had such humility and kindness that I found myself feeling sorry for Ishmael. I think I finally understand what the Torah was teaching us. Another year, we did the story of Jonah. Ari was Jonah and was supposed to be going to Nineveh, which is in modern day Iraq. All of the other teens had very strong feelings about the baselessness of the US invasion of Iraq and didn't hesitate to let it be known. Everyone else wanted the play written with that slant. But Ari, standing alone, didn't feel that way. And when asked, he explained why, not based on emotion, but calmly, factually, and with powerful conviction. He would go to Nineveh as Jonah in the biblical story because it could help save the people of Nineveh. And he would go to Nineveh as the real Ari because it could help save the present day inhabitants of Nineveh. And since he was Jonah, well, that's where our play went. And then there was Ari as Abraham. He was decked out in an all-black suit with a black hat and little peyote curls that were stuck to the side of his head. Again, a congregant's response. By this time, everyone knew Ari. Wow, wasn't Ari great? I had never seen the anguish that Abraham must have been in, the internal turmoil as he held up the knife to slay Isaac. Yesterday, we read Parshat Lech Lecha, which is the beginning of the Abrahamic story. And I thought about how much Ari was indeed like Abraham. Ari, just like Abraham, modeled tzedakah, repairing the world, chesed, wisdom and kindness, and gevurah, strength. Like Abraham, he stood up for what he believed in, even if he was the only one. He just wanted those plays to be a blessing for everyone involved, me, the congregation, and most importantly, the other teens. Ari, rest assured that they were a blessing, and Baruch Hashem will continue to be a blessing and teaching for everyone whose lives were touched by that experience, which so reflects the essence of who you are.
It's Ari's mentor and supervisor.
So the first time Ari and I went out to lunch, We found a deli and sat down for a long talk about expectations and goals and so on. As a nurse practitioner, although he could practice independently and didn't need a supervisor in terms of the state of Colorado, our employer had policies that each non-physician prescriber needed to have a supervising doctor. So I've worked with Ari for the past several years at Centennial Peaks Hospital. I was his supervising doctor. He was an esteemed and valued colleague. I remember sitting across the table from Ari, and I remarked to him that I thought he would quickly grow weary of working in that position because of all the ethical roadblocks and hurdles that he was going to experience. He seemed very idealistic to me, and I was concerned he didn't have a full appreciation of the barriers and conflicts that would make it very hard for him to get for his patients what they deserved. As we proceeded to work together over the next few years, I saw that he did certainly experience frustration with many of those conflicting forces, many of which are very far from our ideal. Insurance barriers, conflicting local and federal government regulations, legal restrictions, and so on. But Ari didn't give up on fighting for his patients' needs. I've seen a lot of providers come and go in our venue, usually after a few months. Most of the doctors who would work with us became disenchanted, frustrated, and moved on. It is truly hard to get the things for our patients that they need. Just jumping through the hoops just to get a single medication paid for by an insurance company sometimes is really quite a burden. And the patients that Ari was willing to work with were generally not appreciative of all that hard work. Rather than thanking him for all that he was doing, 9 times out of 10, they would be very ungrateful, disdainful, and even threatening. Ari seldom took these attacks personally. He understood the patients were generally experiencing a very different reality, and their ire was not really directed at us, but rather at the CIA or the NSA or aliens. So rather than giving up on these patients, as I had predicted, and rather than leaving for an easier job, Ari hunkered down and worked harder and took excellent care of our patients. I remember a call from the intake department not too long ago, and they asked if we could accept a patient who had recently been discharged, and I didn't recognize the patient. So the clinician clarified this was a patient who recently assaulted Ari. And I said, you're going to have to be a little more specific. Ari certainly did experience frustration, and often others around him might sometimes feel frustrated as well, because Ari was a lot more willing than most of us to take time and allow the patients to recognize the help they needed. Ari really tried to honor the patient's autonomy thoroughly before going through the process of compelling someone to take much needed medication on an involuntary basis. Ari often reached out to me and asked for input on various medication choices or about physiologic questions when a peculiar clinical scenario arose. Over time, I also developed a habit of consulting Ari. When I really wanted to ascertain what was the right option for a difficult patient, I would ask Ari about his feelings on the case. Not really about the doses or what pharmacologic option was right, but rather what was really in the patient's best interest. Ari had started off our first lunch meeting. By the way, I really prefer to conduct business over lunch or dinner or breakfast whenever possible. So we had quite a few meals together. And Ari started off this first meal pointing out that his goal, his mission was he wanted to get for the patient whatever was right and best for them. I learned that I could count on Ari to let me know if I was missing some nuance or if my inclination was clouded by being offended or hurt when a patient accused me of being a genocidal robot. We all relied on Ari quite a lot. He frequently did things that he didn't have to do. He did things because they needed to be done. Often, even when nobody was asking him to do it. At Centennial Peaks, he did a lot of the things that nobody else wanted to do. Ari, I'm going to miss you very much. I'm going to miss your integrity and your compassion and your kindness. Ari, thank you for being a part of my team at work, and thank you, Ari, for being a part of my life.
I'd like to call up Stacy Haver.
Hello, my name is Stacy, and Ari was one of my best friends. We started work at the hospital within 1 month of one another. And I think everyone who works at the hospital can tell you how chaotic that experience is. So we spent a lot of time together. And as with Dr. O'Brien, lunch meetings, those were always good. I think Ari and I probably consumed over 500 pounds of sushi in the last 6 months. That was always the what's for lunch, how can we regroup? To his 7 children. I have a reading that we had talked about when I lost my mom last year when Ari was there for me. And with your permission, I'd like to read this to you. A limb has fallen from the family tree. I keep hearing a voice that says, grieve not for me. Remember the best times, the laughter, the song, the good life I lived when I was strong. Continue my heritage, I'm counting on you. Keep smiling and surely the sun will shine through. My mind is at ease, my soul is at rest, remembering all how truly I was blessed. Continue traditions, no matter how small. Go on with your life, don't worry about falls. I miss you all dearly, so keep up your chin. Until the day comes, we're together again. Stories. Those that work with me come to hear the stories, funny stories, sad stories. Probably the funniest story that I have to share about Ari is Halloween. This was our special time of the year. And this actually happened last year. And I get a frantic phone call from him. I need you, come now. And my first response is, are you safe? Is your team safe? Are the patients safe? Yes, I need you now. So I run over, that was an experience in itself, to his office and knock on the door. And I say, Ari, it's Stace, may I come in? And he said, yes, come help me. And I open the door and he has on a red t-shirt and a pair of blue gym shorts that would have been too big for me, And he is trying to put on a onesie, zip up Halloween outfit that his treatment team had made arrangements about that he didn't know. And this is clearly a genie. She should have been there. It shouldn't have been me. The man has glitter all over his face, and it's in pastel colors, and he's got it stuck, and he's hopping around like this. And all I could do was just sit down on the floor and start laughing and he got upset with me. Our friendship was very, very transparent. He could say anything to me and I could say anything to him and it would not bother either one of us. When I stopped laughing, I said, "How can I help you?" And he said, "I'm so hot. I feel ridiculous. I don't want to do this." So I threw a bottle of water at him and I picked up the fan that was in his office. I said, "You cool down. I'm going to take your tennis shoes, get the knots out of the string, and we're going to get ready. You have to do this now, like now." So as I'm zipping him up, it reminded me so much because of my age. I was big mama, once again, obvious. My son is 6'6", my daughter is 5'11". He was my little man that we always took care of each other. So I'm zipping him up with this thing, and I don't know if he's a cow, if he's a unicorn. I don't know what he is, but the rest of the team was that too, and he looked adorable. So I said, "Do you have your clipboard? Do you have your Post-it notes? Do you have your ink pen? Are you ready to go? Do you have your highlighter?" "I'm ready to go. I'm going to treatment planning now." And then we never spoke of it again. That was just like the frantic, "I need you now." He had a profound dedication to his patients. He had such respect for all of his colleagues. It didn't matter what duty we had in that hospital. Even if we didn't agree, it was all about patient care, and we would all come together with that, even if we did disagree. Sometimes we would sound like two cockroaches hissing in the office because we couldn't raise our voices because we had patients and other folks around. When he told me I looked like a UPS driver, I had to refrain from telling him that he looked like he was on a pro classic golf tour. Ladies, the crimson red pants and the Kelly green pants, he was a styling dude. He knew how to dress and he was wonderful at it. Mixology. He mixed me a drink for my birthday. We were both on call. And it was the most delightful drink I'd ever had in my entire life. But of course, I couldn't tell him that. One of his professional colleagues I had never met before was standing beside me. We were engaged in conversation. And he was standing there like this. "Do you like it? Do you like it? It's got tequila in it." And I said, "Yeah, it's okay. It's okay." And I kept talking. And it's like, "Do you like it?" And he's bouncing up and down. And I said, "It is the most delightful beverage I've ever had." What I didn't know is he squeezed 4 different juices and the mixology was just perfect on it, but he enjoyed it so much. If there's one thing that he would want us to leave with you all today, in the love in this room, I can feel him. I just can feel his energy, would be to be kind to one another. Find your support person. Sometimes it's easier to talk to someone you don't even know. Always offer to help. There's always something together as a team that we can do. The patients that he was able to reach, it was a victory for him. He was so excited. The ones that we had challenges with, he also would internalize that. But he was a wonderful, wonderful man, and I'm a better person for knowing him. And once again, some of those funny stories, oh, you guys, they're funnier than even the unicorn cow, whatever was going on that day. It's tough. I met with his mentor on Friday evening for a few minutes. As all of you, I've been angry. I've been sad. Then I would laugh and remember the good times, the mysteries. And I do know, and I'm very, very grateful for the comfort that I received Friday night whenever I spoke with that mentor of his. And I hope that we all can find that peace. He was a wonderful man, and he was one of my friends. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call up Janelle, who is one of many cousins.
Thank you. My Aunt Celeste wasn't able to make it exactly today, so she was hoping I could read something that might touch us and help us to move through the situation and heal. If I only had known the last time would be the last time, I would have put off all the things that I had to do. I would have stayed a little longer, held on a little tighter. Now, what I'd give for one more day with you, because there's a wound here in my heart where something's missing. And they tell me that it's going to heal with time. But I know you're in a place where all your wounds have been erased. And knowing yours are healed is healing mine. The only scars in heaven, they won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. I know the road you walked was anything but easy. You picked up your share of scars along the way. But now you're standing in the sun. You fought your fight and your race is run. The pain is all 1,000,000 miles away. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see you. You live on in all the better parts of me. Until I'm standing with you in the sun, I'll fight this fight and this race I'll run until I finally see what you can see. The only scars in heaven, they won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. Thank you.
I'd like to call up Micah.
Hello, I'm Micah Goldschmidt, Ari's son. I remember these crazy times that we had. I'd like to share some stories. I remember that. I remember these couple times. We were celebrating Hanukkah and Shabbat and stuff like that. I was younger, and I opened up the present, and it was a Wheels on the Bus movie thing or book, whatever. I got up and ran around the room, crying, screaming of joy. I was still happy. I also remember those fun times we would roughhouse, and he ended up just banging me in bang my head against walls all the time. There's also hilarious times between, like when we would go to the park and I got on that thing, the spinny thing, and I span around so many times I ended up throwing up. I also remember that time when Dad got home from work. I was so excited to see him. He grabbed me by my arm, tossed me on the couch. My arm got pulled out of socket. Me and my dad had a very special bond. And I just wanted to tell you guys about the times that we had. Thank you.
So glad you said some words. Thank you. So glad to hear your stories, and we'll have more time to tell stories later this afternoon as well for those of you who are having stories well up in your hearts right now. So we're going to turn now to a prayer called El Male Rachamim, which is traditional in Jewish circles and Jewish tradition. And I'd like to ask you all, if you're able to please rise. And I'll call Hal back up here to chant for us in Hebrew, and then I'll read the English for us after he completes that.
El Male Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Amatzeh Menucha Nechona Al Kanfei HaShechina B'Mahalot Kedoshim U'Tahorim Kizohar Haraki Hamazhirim Et Nishmat Ari Ronel Ben Avraham V'Micha Ruth Shehalach La'olamo Began Eden Tehei Menuchato Anna Ba'a Harachamim Yastirehu Beseter Kinafav La'olamimi Bitzror HaChaim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato V'yanuach B'Shalom HaMishkavo V'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Ari Ronell, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bonds of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. And now I'd like to call forward Crystal's uncle, Tony Huerta, for another offering from Psalms.
Psalm 119. How blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord. How blessed are those who observe his testimonies, who seek him with all their heart. They also do no unrighteousness. They walk in his ways. You have ordained your precepts that we should keep them diligently. Oh, that my ways may be established to keep your statutes. Then I shall not be ashamed when I look upon all your commandments. I shall give thanks to you with all righteous of heart. When I learn your righteousness and judgments, I shall keep your statutes. I just recently met Ari. I see the history that he has, the past, the people that he's known for years. And I just recently met him a couple of years. And I can tell you all that I got to meet Ari, not the educated, not the title Ari. I just got to meet the Ari, the happy, the flamboyant, very kind, very quiet, very humble. Never talked about his titles. He was just kind. He was just a human being. And so it's just overwhelming for me. I seen the future that I was going to have with him and Crystal. And so there's really no words, Crystal, but to tell you that I love you and your family and your children. You know, the family that I come from, it's big, and again, I'm gonna miss Ari. I'm gonna miss him, and there's really no words. I can't even think of words to say to comfort, or I don't have nothing funny to say about Ari. I just gotta let you guys know that Ari, I found out about Ari's heart by the way he would take care of my parents. I have elderly parents in Arkansas. And I looked into my parents' fridge one day and I noticed all of these vitamin containers. And I asked my mom, where are you getting this? And my mom looked at me, well, I'm getting it from Ari and Crystal. And so I realized that even in secret, Ari would do things for people. And so my hope was a great future with both of them. And so I'm gonna miss Ari, and Crystal, we love you and we're here for you. Anything you need. Thank you.
It's a blessing to be here with each other, and just thank you for everybody who's made effort to come today, to be present today, to show up for each other in this moment. And I can trust and hope that we'll continue to show up for each other, and that all of those who were closest to Ari will continue to hear from those of us in wider circles throughout the weeks and months ahead. Because today's a very hard day, but when most of us get to go back to our ordinary lives and re-enter, those who are closest to this loss will be on a slower path of healing, and they'll need us to keep showing up in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months down the road. So I encourage everyone who's close to the inner circle to keep reaching out over time. Eternal God, who comforts mourners, the life of one we love and long for is now a memory. Although our gratitude for that precious life is great, our anger and misery over the loss can sometimes overwhelm us. Yours, Adonai God, is the fountain of life. By your light do we see light. Illuminate our darkness, send us comfort and consolation. Help us to embody the worthy qualities of our beloved Ari. Grant us the determination and strength to extend that life by helping us enrich the lives of others. Thus will Ari's presence continue among us. Thus will our family's life continue in spite of loss. Thus will his memory endure as a blessing forever. And let us say amen. So if there are Kaddish cards in the room, they can be distributed now. The Kaddish is a prayer that we say in Jewish tradition when we're remembering a loved one who has passed. And it's a curious prayer. It's a prayer that doesn't mention loss. It doesn't mention death. It mentions just praise and gratitude. And I think part of the reason for that is because even in these moments when we are most heartbroken and it's hardest to find that gratitude, this is a map for us. It's a road. It's an aspiration. The other thing about the Kaddish is that the words of the Kaddish are a requirement. So those who are closest to the person who passed are obligated, according to Jewish law, to say Kaddish. And yet it's a prayer that is only supposed to be said in the presence of community, in the presence of 10 souls or more. So there's this kind of paradox that you have to say it, but you can't say it by yourself. You need other people around you to be able to enact that mitzvah, that commandment. And so it's one of the ways that Jewish tradition, I think, has taken care of our mourners to make sure that we're not alone in this kind of time of life when we're most heartbroken and most in need of community. We make a tradition, a structure, so that the mourner is surrounded at such times. So I'm going to call upon those who are saying Kaddish, so that may be Ari's parents, siblings, children, spouses, and all of those who are saying Kaddish for other loved ones. Also, it would be appropriate to rise at this time. Please stand if you're able to. And what our tradition is in our community of B'nai Havurah is that the mourners will begin the prayer and be sort of in charge of the prayer, and then the community will stand with them about halfway through the prayer when we get to a particular line. I'll give you a sign when it's customary to stand. And I'm having trouble finding. Can I have one of those Kaddish sheets as well? Thank you. I managed to get up here without having the page ready. Okay, so thank you. So again, when we get to the congregational response, everybody can stand and I'll show you when that is. Let's take a breath. Just take in all of the love that has been shared and send our love particularly to Isaac, Sammy, Matthew, Daniel, Chrissy, Isla, Micah, Crystal, Robert, Michelle, Ian, and Lee, and Chantel. Let's hold all of those who spoke, who are friends and cousins and dear ones in this circle, those who have known Ari. May all of us find comfort in this time. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. You may stand. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. You may be seated. So in just a moment, we'll conclude with one final prayer. And before we do that, again, want to just say thank you so much to everybody who is here. And thank you for being here now. Thank you for being here in the future for the family. Those of you who would like to make a donation in Ari's honor, the family has identified two ways to do that. One is the Wounded Warrior Project. And one is, I think there is a GoFundMe that's being created to support the family. So either of those things would be a wonderful way to honor his memory. As I mentioned earlier, we will have more opportunities to gather, to share memories at the house of Bob and Michelle, which is 26823 East Mineral Drive in Aurora. And we'll be gathering there at around 5 o'clock for what's called a Shiva gathering. We'll share more memories. We'll have a brief service and a meal. And it's customary to come to such a gathering with arms full of food, and the family would appreciate that. Just try to keep it kosher style, which means refrain from bacon and shellfish or mixing meat and milk together. But beyond that, please come, bring some food, let yourself in when you get there, as is customary. And rather than Bob and Michelle hosting us, we'll be taking care of them. So just know that as you enter that house, that's our custom. I think that's all we need to know for now. And so we'll conclude with one more closing prayer. One more thing. I forgot one more thing. So after this service is done, the family may need some time to have some quiet on their own. So they're probably going to be going into the room on the side here, and you'll have a chance to greet them and hug them and share those stories at the Shiva. But understand that they may not be ready to have all those conversations right now. So we'll let them have some space as needed.
Back to the Psalms. This is from Psalm 90. Teach us to treasure each day.
Yeah.
you for coming, everyone. And we'll have some music and you can linger, you can depart, and perhaps we'll see you at 5 o'clock at Bob and Michelle's house this afternoon. Thank you for being here.